All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about the volume and surface area of pyramids, okay? So you might want to put this at the top of your paper. The surface area for a pyramid is the area of the base plus 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height. And we've talked about slant height before with cones, but we're going to go B equals area of base. P equals perimeter. And L equals slant height. Okay. And then the volume equals the 1/3 area of the base times the height. B again is area of base, and H equals the height. Okay. Questions about the formulas? You will have them on your quiz. They'll be on the board. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to practice how to find the height or the slant height. I'm going to do one from each of these sections on the front, and then we're going to turn to the back and we're going to do a couple where we find the volume and surface area of a whole pyramid. Okay, we're going to look at number 1. We've got the height and we're looking for the slant height. So I want you guys to remember that we are looking right here at this right triangle. So if I were to pull that right triangle out, I am looking for the slant height. I'm going to call it the cursive L. We know that the height is 12. We've got the 90 degrees here. What goes on the bottom though? So 14 is all the way across. Did I go all the way across? I went halfway. 7. Okay? Now this is just Pythagorean theorem. 7 squared plus 12 squared equals the slant height squared. So I get 49 plus 144 equals slant height squared. 49 plus 144 gives us 193. I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I get the slant height equals 13.9 centimeters. Okay. So you're going to do the one next to it exactly the same, but I'm going to let you guys do that on your own. We're going to move to example number 2, where we're given the slant height, and we've got to find the height. Everybody okay with it's Pythagorean theorem? Just the bottom part I just have to take half of if it's a square base pyramid? Okay, let's go down to example number 2. I'm given that my slant height is 16 centimeters. I'm looking for my height. What's going to be the bottom of this triangle? Because if I draw in this triangle, it looks like this. 6. Good. It's half of this. So that's height squared plus 6 squared equals 16 squared. So that's height squared plus 36 equals, what's 16 squared? 256? I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides. So I get height squared equals 220. And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And I get height equals 14.83 centimeters. How do we feel about that? Just Pythagorean theorem, guys. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, let's turn it over. Okay, I'm going to do 3 on the back. I'm going to start with this one right here, this square base pyramid. Okay, we need to find the surface area and the volume. So what do we want to find first? Surface area? Okay, surface area, remember, is the area of the base plus 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height. Okay? So we've got area of the base. What's the area of the base of this pyramid? 16, right? 4 times 4. What's the perimeter of the base if I were to walk all the way around it? 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 16. What's the slant height of this? 6.3. Okay, so now we just plug it in. 16 plus 1/2 16 times 6.3. What does that give us? Surface area equals what? Put in your calculator. Who's got an answer? Yep, 66.4 inches squared. Good, because we're talking about surface area. Okay, for volume, I know that the volume equals 1/3 the base times the height. Do I have what the height is? I know base is 16, but I don't have the height, correct? So I've got to do that Pythagorean theorem. I know the slant height is 6.3. What's the bottom of my right triangle going to be? 2. Good. And I'm looking for height. So height squared plus 2 squared equals 6.3 squared. Okay. So I get height squared plus 4 equals 39.69. Yep. Now I'm going to subtract 4. And I get height squared equals 35.69. What do I do now? I've got height squared equals 35.69. How do we get rid of squared? We take the square root. So height equals 5.97. Okay, so that's 5.97. So now, for this problem right here, I'm going to go 1/3 times 16 times 5.97, and I'm going to get 31.84 inches cubed. So that's what the volume equals. Questions about that so far? Okay, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to do a pentagonal prism or a hexagonal prism? Or you don't care? Let's just go ahead then and do the one right below it. We're going to do this hexagonal prism. Now remember, surface area equals the area of the base plus 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height. How am I going to figure out the area of the base of this hexagon? So we can take 1/2, what's the apothem? 5.2, right? Times the number of sides, there's 6, times the length of the side, 6. So the area of my base is, what did we find? 1/2, 5.2, times 6 times 6. That's a 5, by the way. $93.6, good. What's the area of the, what's the length of the perimeter? 6 times 6 is? 36. And what's the slant height? Good. So we're going to plug that in. 93.6 plus 1/2 36 times 11.3. That gives us what? What'd you get, guys? 93.6 plus 36 times 11.3. I get 297. And that's centimeters squared. Okay, for volume, this is kind of easier than a rectangular one because the apothem is going to be the bottom of my triangle, right? So this is 11.3. The apothem is 5.2, so I don't have to take half of it, and I'm looking for my height. Okay? So remember, volume equals 1/3 area of the base times the height. We know the base is 93.6. We're looking for the height. So that's 11.3 squared equals h squared plus 5.2 squared. What's 5.2 squared? 27.04. 11.3 squared is 127.7. So 127.7 minus 27.04 gives us 100.66 equals h squared. We take the square root of that answer, and we get h equals 10.03. Okay, so we're going to put it in the equation. Volume equals 1/3. Area of the base, 93.6 times 10.3. 93.6 times 10.3 times 1/3 gives us the volume equals 321.36 centimeters cubed. Questions about any of that? Okay, I'm going to do one more on this page. I'm going to do the very, very last one. And then you guys are going to do the rest on your own and show me before the end of class. So I'm looking right here at the bottom. I'm going to find the volume and surface area of a rectangular pyramid measuring 9 inches and 4 inches by 9 inches along the base with a slant height of 10.1. I don't know where 9.2 comes from. We're going to ignore that. Okay? So I want to find the surface area first, which is the area of the base plus 1/2 the perimeter times the height, the slant height, excuse me. So what's the area of the base? It's 4 by 9, so 4 times 9 is 36. The perimeter, 4 plus 9 plus 4 plus 9, if we were to walk around it, gives me 25. And my slant height is 10.1. So we're going to go 36 plus 1/2, 25 times 10.1 gives me 162.25 inches squared. Questions about how I found the surface area before we move on to the volume? Okay, the volume, I do not have the height. I know the slant height is 10.1. I'm looking for the height. What am I going to put on the bottom? Well, what's half of 4? 2. You could have also put half of 9, but that gives you a decimal, and I think this is easier. So we get 10.1 squared equals 2 squared plus height squared. So 10.1 squared is 102.01 equals 4 plus h squared. I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. Giving me 98.01. And then I'm going to square root both sides. So then my height equals 9.9. Then I'm going to put it in the formula 1/3 the area of the base, 36, times the height, 9.9. Giving me 118.8 inches cubed. Okay, so that means you have 4 problems on the back and 2 on the front that you need to finish before the end of class. You need to check it in with me. You'll get points for it, and then you can go ahead and work on your review.
So how did you get